Hi, I'm TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I ask that you like, share, and comment on this video. Thanks for watching. All I gotta say is, who dat?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, and yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody in the chat, everybody listening around the country and around the world. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while since I did a show, a few days, probably been about 3 or 4 days since I did a show. For those that may not know, first off, I want to apologize for that. On Saturday, I was doing some work out in the yard. I'm doing a lot of bending and, putting down rocks or what have you. And all of a sudden, I suffered like severe numbness in my legs. I couldn't feel my toes. Leg was numb. It turns out that I suffered from diabetic neuropathy. For those that may not know, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I got diagnosed back in 2018. And I've been dealing with diabetes since then. This is my first time actually having to deal with the neuropathy, but it's extremely painful. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't drive. And, it kind of scared me a little bit. Shouts out to my wife, who's a nurse practitioner, kind of helped me understand what I was going through. But in the process, man, I was trying to focus on that and everything that was going on, with my health. But I got some movement back and everything like that. So I'm almost back to normal. But man, it's been one heck of an experience. I know a lot has gone on since then. And I thank you all for your patience. Shouts out to everybody that reached out, wondering where I was. Shouts out to everybody that lift me up in prayer. Thank y'all so much. That's the reason I love doing this show. It's not just because I love the New Orleans Saints, but I love each and every one of you that support me, not just me just doing this show, but everything that I got going on. And it just completely confirms all of my thoughts and my feelings and my views about each and every one of you. So thank you so much. But let's get down to business. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft. Last episode that we did, we only talked about round number 1 when the Saints selected Brian Bresee. A lot of controversy, a lot of laughs came from that show, of course. But nevertheless, a lot has happened since then. The Saints have finished the NFL draft. They have picked up some undrafted rookies that people are excited about. Cesar Ruiz will not get his 5th-year option along with some other players around the NFL. Adam Troutman got traded. I mean, it was the wrong time for me to take a break, but a lot to talk about. But let's talk a little bit about the draft. Of course, the New Orleans Saints, they had a few picks. In round number 2, they went with Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame, a 6'5", 265-pound guy. He led the nation in forced fumbles with 6. He had double-digit sacks. He's a guy that doesn't miss games, and I think that is a plus. That's something that we felt like the Saints needed to get away from, were these guys that were considered projects and guys that have been injured throughout their collegiate career or have been injured or suffered some injury that involved them having to get surgery. But Foskey is a very smart, intelligent guy. He has really good ball skills. And I think that with his mental makeup, his intelligence, his way to play the game, I think the New Orleans Saints have finally found somebody to be that true successor to Cam Jordan. Now, only time will tell. I only can go by what I see. I got an opportunity to watch a lot of Notre Dame games, and I'm pretty sure you probably have too. I mean, Notre Dame plays on NBC every single year, so you're going to get your fair share of Notre Dame games. But he's a guy that's not afraid to get after the quarterback. He has a high motor, of course. That's what we love here. And he also has that size that I'm looking for when it comes to this new age pass rusher, right? The guys that are not 280, 290 trying to get after the quarterback, but those guys that kind of fall into that 250, 260 range. And he definitely fits that mold. So he definitely is a guy that the Saints are lucky to have. And I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I looked at some of the positive things about him. Once again, the games that he played in 2019, his first year at Notre Dame, he played in 4 games. Of course, that was because he was a freshman. And then, of course, he played in 12 games his sophomore year. He didn't start in any of those games, but his junior and senior year, right? He had 13 games played and 13 games started. 2022, he had 12 games played and 12 games started. That is a plus, especially since we know that the Saints have been dealing with these first-round defensive ends and pass rushers who can't seem to stay on the field. Also, we got to move on now to the next round. The Saints selected running back out of TCU, Kendre Miller. I'm pretty sure some of you probably seen Kendre in action. I seen him in the game versus Michigan. Of course, he ended up getting hurt in that game, but he's a guy that can carry the load. He's a guy that can not only just run in between the tackles, but catch the ball out of the backfield as well, even though they didn't require him to do that. He had 1,399 rushing yards, 224 carries with a 6.2 average. You want to be around 5 yards a clip. So he exceeded that with 6.2. He was 8 in the nation with 17 rushing touchdowns. He had 14 starts. He missed that national title game, of course, because he got injured in that game versus Michigan. Another guy, 2022, 14 games played, 14 games started. That is exactly what you want to see. You want guys that can win the battle of nutrition. And I want to see this guy play because he's saying all the right things. He's not a guy that's just coming in there hat in hand and being humble and stuff like that, even though in a way he is. He has that mind frame like, I am the guy, I am the number one guy, and he's not looking at number 41, Alvin Kamara, like, man, I'm going to back up Alvin. He's saying that I want to outplay Alvin, and I want to be the starter. And that's what you need. It's not a knock on Alvin. It's not disrespectful. It's not a cocky attitude. It's just the fact that you're sure about yourself and you like your chances of hitting the field. And I have no problem with that. And if you actually watch this guy play in real time, you'll get really excited about that because he's a guy that is hard to bring down. He has really good field vision. And, there were times where, the offensive line of TCU was struggling a little bit. And a lot of the big gains that he had was basically on his ability and his skill set. So looking forward to seeing what Kendre Miller is going to do in the Saints uniform. Then we go to round number 4, Nick Seldevery. This is a guy who, to me, offensive tackle out of Old Dominion. They really didn't know that much about this guy, but he is 6'6", 318 pounds. He played right tackle. He played a little bit of left tackle as well. 35 career games, included 34 at right tackle and 1 in 2022 at right guard, which I feel like more than likely the Saints are probably going to test him at in the beginning of his career. And also, man, I mean, I look at this guy. He's one of those guys that he did everything. He did it the right way. He went to the Senior Bowl, had a really good outing there, and then he got opportunity to go to the Combine. So he's a guy that I feel like is going to be, serve that Will Clapp role, if you will. Will Clapp played on all positions on the offensive line. But I think that the Saints are probably going to try to get him settled in at the guard position. But he has the right size. And once again, I like the fact that he has played and started games. He played in 39 games and he started 36 of them, right? 2018, he started in those 3 games. I mean, he played in those 3 games, but he didn't start. And that was his freshman year. But his sophomore year, he played in 11 games, started. 2021 in his junior year, 13 games, he played in 13. 2022, played in 12 games and started 12 games. I like that. That is the start of something special. That means that the guy more than likely is going to be available. Next, we have Jake Haener out of Fresno State, who I actually seen work out at the Combine. Good spin on the ball. Really good, accurate guy. I think he went over 65% completion percentage when he was in college. He's a guy that threw for 2,800 yards, 252 of 350 passing attempts, 20 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. So not too many mistakes coming from him. I know a big concern is his height. A lot of people look at him as maybe that backup quarterback for, and maybe if your starter goes down, he can come in and give you some service. But who knows, man? In the right system, Jake Haener can be a consistent starter. And if his mind is straight and if he comes in dialed in, he will be a really good player. I mean, you look at this guy back in 2021, he completed 67% of his passes. 2022, I actually sold him short. He completed 72% of his passes. That's pretty incredible right there, man. One thing that, you want your quarterback to be is accurate. I feel like if your quarterback is accurate, then everything else can kind of figure itself out. I mean, if you come in and you're accurate, that means that you can actually build on that. So I like that. I think that this is more of a Derek Carr pick, the fact that they actually went to the same school. Derek Carr from Fresno State got picked in the second round by the Raiders. And Jake Haener, of course, came out of Fresno State as well. So maybe that was the Saints doing Derek Carr a little bit of a favor. You have next in the 5th round, you have Jordan Howden on the safety out of Minnesota. He's 6 foot, 203 pounds. He started in 49 games out of a total of 58 throughout his career. He had 240 tackles, 168 solo, 5.5 tackles for loss while breaking up 20 passes and grabbing 4 interceptions. This is something that the Saints needed to do. They needed to get a little bit younger at the safety position. I look at a guy that falls in this round. You really have to be something special in order for you to hit the field early. So I expect for him to maybe, get some practice in, maybe be on the practice squad. But who knows? I mean, you go out there, you flash, you go out there and give it the old college try, work really hard. You might be able to find your way on special teams playing a little bit consistently. But I think that this was a good pick by the New Orleans Saints. And, of course, the final pick, this actually came because the Saints traded with the Denver Broncos. They gave Adam Troutman away in that trade, but the Saints got A.T. Perry, the wide receiver out of Wake Forest. I don't know why some people on some of these charts, they have A.T. Perry 6'5". He's actually 6'3", 195 pounds. He had a record 15 touchdown receptions in 2021 for the Demon Deacons. His overall touchdown record of 28 is tied for 7 in ACC history. This is a guy who had 12 100-yard receiving games, so he is about as decorated as a Christmas tree. And if he comes in and he can give you that production like he did at Wake Forest, that is a plus. I think that this was the Saints' response to maybe if something was to happen to Michael Thomas once again, this guy filling in. Do not sell this guy short. Do not sell based on his position and where he was drafted short. If this guy comes into camp and he balls out, you might as well just say bye-bye to Traquan. And, Brian Elwes fall to the back of the line because A.T. Perry is that special. I don't like the Saints actually getting this guy in the 6th round is a steal, in my opinion. I would have thought he probably would have went maybe 3rd, 4th round. He's that good. So the fact that the Saints got him in 6 is a plus. But those are your draft picks. Those are your draft picks for the New Orleans Saints. Of course, there were some undrafted guys who we'll get to in a minute. But right now, I want to go ahead and read some of your comments, and let's see what you all have to say. But let's go ahead and start. We'll start with Lamont. Lamont says the Notre Dame defensive end made me feel better about the Breesty pick. I'm okay with the pick at 29 now. Well, if you look at what the Saints actually did, it wasn't complex this year. It wasn't, anything that, leaves you scratching your head, even though, in the first round, I think it was more about who they picked instead of the actual position. But they needed help in the interior, and they got it. They needed help on the edge, and they got it. They needed somebody to come in and be that backup running back for Alvin, even though they got Jamal Williams, and they got it. They needed to get a little bit younger with safeties, and they got it. The wide receiver position, you need somebody around that same size, skill set of a Michael Thomas, and they got it. So to me, the Saints actually just did what they needed to do. And I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I think as the draft went on, I think I have an appreciation for the draft. Not only time will tell. It's hard for me to get excited about something that has not come into fruition yet, right? It's not the fact that I don't think that these guys are talented. I'm hearing people talking about 2017 and this resembling 2017. I don't know that for sure. I don't want to sell 2017 short because that would make me say that 2017, this can happen all the time, and it can't. It's a reason why that draft was so special is because you found guys that to this day, all of them for the most part have been paid top dollar via free agency or by the New Orleans Saints themselves. So only time will tell when it comes to where this will pan out. But you have to be optimistic about what the Saints actually did because, they drafted positions of need and not so much about just glamour, flash, and all that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, I know we want the Saints to draft players that we want, but they know the organization better than we do. Sometimes we may end up looking right and they may look ridiculous. But in this case, I'm not mad at them actually drafting positions of need because they needed to do that. So that's not a problem for me. Let's see, TJ, I like the confidence from Miller, but saying you're coming for AK spot is a little bit much. Slow down, youngin. Well, I don't think it's a little bit much, King Arthur, because if you actually go back and listen to Alontae Taylor, he was saying the same thing about Marshawn Lattimore last year, right? He said, no disrespect to Marshawn. He said, but I want to be the number one guy. And look, I understand that you have to have a level of humility when it comes to this, but playing a game of football, you got to have a level of confidence. Like you have to believe that you are the toughest SOB out there. Like regardless if you're not the fastest guy, if you ain't got the best hands in the world, if you go out there and feel like you're the 3rd best or the 4th best, you probably are. But to have that mind frame and that belief in yourself that you can take his spot, I have no problem with it. Now, can he do it? Probably not. Alvin Kamara is a very special player, especially when he owned and he's not suffering from any type of ailments. He's one of the best. I think he's top 5. I don't feel like I'm being a homer when I say this. There's very few running backs that can do what Alvin Kamara can do. And if Kendre Miller feels like he can come in and provide that, that's a plus for us. If he does come in and do that, that's a plus for us as fans because at the end of the day, we're Saints fans. But I like the energy, and I like the fact that he's not looking at himself as second best on the team. He's looking at himself as the best. And even though that may not be the case, that's a start. I mean, that's the first step to actually living up to your full potential. Be nice if that 2 pick gained 40 pounds. Let's see. Right. We have a crazy backfield: Kamara, Williams, and Miller. Yeah, that's a really good backfield right there. And it also, like, you have to be real. Like, I know some people, we're not paying that much attention to it, but you got to look at it this way. I mean, there's a chance that Alvin Kamara can miss some time. I mean, that case out there in Las Vegas, that's not. I know people aren't really talking about it, and I know it hasn't been in the news, but there's still a strong possibility he may miss some time. And if he misses some time, what are you going to do? And also, who's to say that behind the scenes, the Saints may have some intel that might say that AK may miss some time? So if he does miss some time, what are you going to do? What, you going to rely on E.O. Benjamin to come in? I mean, this guy is a player that the Saints picked up late. And, I think the Saints want a running back of their own. So I look at this as maybe the Saints telling us something without saying anything at all. Maybe, like they have. And even if that's not the case, you still have to protect yourself, right? Imagine how upset you would actually be if the New Orleans Saints would lose Alvin Kamara due to that case out there in Las Vegas, and the Saints didn't do anything to try to accommodate that. So I have no problem with that at all. Alvin seems like he's more confident in a two-back system anyway. Yeah, I mean, he should be, because the way the Saints have been using Alvin Kamara is not what his skill set entails, even though he does have the capability of running in between the tackles, just not consistently. When you have a talent like Alvin Kamara, you don't just use him in ways that's kind of considered like a weakness of his. You use his strengths, right? Catching the ball out of the backfield, sending him out here on some of these routes, getting those mismatches when it comes to linebackers trying to guard him. That's what you want to do. But running him up the middle like he Earl Campbell or something like that, or Christian Okoye, that ain't it. That is not it. That's not how you use him. So you have him out there doing some of the things that made us fall in love with him in the first place, and you have your battering rams like Miller and Williams to go out there to run the ball up the middle, and also being able to do some things on stretch plays as well. So the key is to play to the strengths of your star running back. And I think that the Saints will, now that they got Williams and Miller. TJ, are you expecting Foskey to gain weight? No, I don't feel like it's necessary. I don't feel like it's necessary for him to gain weight. Him being at 260 is a really good weight for a guy that can be considered a top pass rusher. I read off a list last show, and I was talking about guys like the Bosa brothers who range between 260, right? 260, 265. Matthew Judon was on that list. He ranged between like 250, 260. Some of your top pass rushers, the guys that are wreaking havoc consistently, they fall into that range. And this is like the new hybrid defensive ends. This is like their size. So I don't think he needs to gain weight at all. I think where he is right now is good. I think the most important thing for him to do is to get acclimated and maybe work along Cam Jordan and, try to work on his skill set to make himself a defensive presence out there on the field and be able to hit the ground running. So I don't think his weight has anything to do with it. I think that he's at the right weight to wreak havoc in the National Football League. That's Pete's replacement. It could be Pete's replacement. It can be Cesar Ruiz's replacement, right? I mean, Cesar Ruiz, he's not getting his fifth-year option. So who's to say that the New Orleans Saints won't pick up somebody else and maybe Subdevery, I hope I'm saying his brother's name right. But I hope, regardless, rather it's left guard or right guard. I mean, he can fill that role. So wherever position or whatever decision the Saints go in, he maybe fit into the plans. Just got to fix that O-line, though. Yeah, you definitely got to fix the O-line. You got to make them a little bit more athletic. But we'll see. I mean, they're trying to do the best that they can to try to fix it. I give them credit for that. Aaron, thank you very much for the $5. Says, why does it seem like the Saints don't care about elite linebackers and tight ends? We're always picking build-up guys and not the type of guys for some reason. I don't know. I think maybe it's just the fact that the way that the Saints actually play offense, I guess, it's not one of those offenses that just cater to the tight end. Even though, a couple of years back, the Saints found success with Drew Brees and Jimmy Graham. And now you bring in Derek Carr, who has had history at working with tight ends. That, Aaron, I can't explain. I don't know why. Maybe they feel like maybe the wide receivers and running backs, they feel like they would be more of a presence offensively than a tight end. But I just think that this year there were some really good tight ends that can come in right away that can provide a spark. And who's to say that some of these other guys that they have on the team may not be able to do that? We got Juwan Johnson coming into his third year. We still don't know what Lucas Krull has done this offseason to get better. You got some more guys coming in, undrafted guys, to add to it. I'm a firm believer that the New Orleans Saints still should go out here in free agency and maybe add on a veteran tight end. That's just my humble opinion. But I can't explain why they don't go and pursue tight ends the way some of these other teams do. I know we look at teams like the Kansas City Chiefs with Travis Kelce. We look at the 49ers out there with George Kittle. We look at the Buffalo Bills with Dawson Knox. We look at Philadelphia with Dallas Goedert, and the list goes on and on. I'm pretty sure you can probably find some other guys out there. And we see how effective these tight ends are, and we want some of that. But maybe the Saints don't look at it as imperative as some of these other teams. But if you wanted a tight end that can be a difference maker, this probably would be the year to do it. Now, next year, there's some really good ones coming out. Of course, it's going to be headlined by Georgia tight end Brock Bowers, but there's still some really good tight ends. And who's to say that some of these other guys that were on the practice squad that the Saints kind of hid out, that those guys won't emerge and be a difference maker? I'm looking for guys like Juwan Johnson to be that star tight end, that guy that takes that step forward. And the other guy that comes in to be his backup or, the second tight end on the depth chart to come in and give you a little bit of some Josh Hill action, like something, like Josh Hill wasn't going to lead the team in receptions or touchdowns or yards. But every now and then, if you need a guy to catch a ball in the red zone or you need a guy to go around on that wheel route and catch a first down or go down the sidelines, he was that guy. So, they're probably going to see what they have, but I'm a firm believer that they need to maybe sign a veteran tight end. What's happening, fam? What's the ceiling for Dennis Allen's job? The talking heads have us on the bottom of the division. Well, Brian, I don't care less about these talking heads. I can care less. Look, I understand show business. I understand entertainment, and I've been telling people that follow me on Twitter at TJ Jones 8. I said it. These guys are looking for ratings. Y'all don't think Nick Wright understands what's going on here, man? Like Nick Wright seen how upset Saints fans were and how they was coming at his neck and how he was posting on social media and they kept on retweeting and they kept on liking and kept on commenting on his stuff. You don't think his social media team or the people that's over there at Fox Sports didn't see that? See, the name of the game is not about being right or wrong. It's about how many eyes can be on your product, how many eyes can be on your social media page, how many eyes can actually be on the show that I'm on. That's what it's all about. And by them taking the Saints out of the top 10 and not looking at it as a serious threat, or the team as a serious threat, rather, they knew that it was going to make Saints fans mad so they can be up in arms again for them to share the content. All I'm saying is don't take the cheese, all right? Don't take the bait, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. Some people tried to argue against that. I don't understand why. Somebody that works in broadcasting, understanding ratings, understand how people try to do things to try to ignite or try to incite a crowd. I completely understand that 100%. One of the qualities that I think that I have and I bring to Radio Baha'i WLGI is my marketing ability, right? And one thing that I focus on is marketing. One of my jobs as a member of management here is, to market the station, coming up with ways to make the station more appealing, right? And one thing that, I try to do is make sure I do things on social media. And that's exactly what they did, right? You don't think these guys having prep meetings and they're saying, man, you know that segment when you talked about the Saints, man, look how many people watched this. Look how many people followed this. Look how many people retweeted this. That's the way that it works, folks. So I don't understand why people just getting so upset about that. Yeah, I talk about it because people want me to, but at the same time, I understand why they did what they did. Like if you look at that list, there's no way in the world that you can honestly say in an NFC or a conference like the NFC that all these teams who have quarterbacks who have questions, who struggle, and now the Saints insert the guy who automatically just might make this team better and throughout the NFL has been in the top 10, top 15 among quarterbacks, and there's no way in the world that you're going to put them right there. Like, of course you're supposed to put them there. Any other team, if a guy moved from the AFC to the NFC, they will be there because every show that you watch, they tell you the quarterback is the driving force for the team's success, right? So if Derek Carr was top 15 at his position and he comes to a conference that is weak and very top heavy when it comes to the quarterback play, why wouldn't they put the Saints on the list? I'll tell you why. Because not putting them on the list is giving them the attention that they want. Do not take the bait, Who Dat Nation. Do not take the bait. Let's see. It's always about getting the job done and a system fit. Exactly. That's what it's about. That's the most important thing. You know, those are some key qualities there. Derrick Henry, thank you very much for the $2. Says, I'm coming to the Saints, y'all. I doubt that very highly. Yeah, look, players get traded all the time. I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibility. I just think that the way the Saints are built right now, I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be there. I can see Derrick Henry more so going to the Falcons if he was to get traded more than the Saints. Let's see. Saints did good getting Perry. He can be special watch for his family. Remember, I said that good size and catch good speed. We will see who that family we that. Well, Reginald, I mean, look, if you follow college football, you know how special A.T. Perry is. So, I mean, that's I like the comment, but that's not too much of a stretch because the guy can be really good. I was just shocked that he was there for 6 rounds. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I thought he would have been gone by at least round 3 or 4. Didn't Seattle try to steal Nick Anderson? Yeah, they tried to. They tried to, but they failed. What will we do with Taysom Hill? Taysom Hill can go and be what he been, like that Swiss Army guy. He can play a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I think that this is good for Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill can now, he doesn't have to focus on, I'm going to be a tight end this year. He can go back to being what he always was and being effective at doing that too. We definitely need to add another tight end and linebacker. Well, I don't know about the whole linebacker thing because the Saints got some linebackers, and of course, guys get better every single year. So I'm willing to take that into consideration, and especially the way the Saints actually use their linebackers. We'll see. As far as tight ends, I definitely agree with that because I just think that you need depth, and also I think you need some veteran leadership there as well. He ain't got to be a guy that's out there that just wrecking shop. But a guy that can come in, if something was to happen to Juwan Johnson, he misses a game, can come in and help you move the football. That's what the Saints need. Fauci would beat out Peyton Turner in training camp. He's low-hanging fruit. Well, I put it like this. The fact that Peyton Turner was a healthy scratch for quite a few games last season pretty much tells me that, if he doesn't come and perform, he's on borrowed time. I think also that's a way of the Saints admitting that they made a mistake, right? If you have a first-round draft pick, you're trying to do everything you can to give him opportunities to hit the field. But the fact that this dude was a healthy scratch for quite a few games last season is an indication that the Saints are admitting that they made a mistake. And by them adding Foskey is really just showing you that they really feel that he's not the guy. And everything that we've seen, you got to be real. He's not the guy. So he has to prove it. He has to prove that he can stay healthy. He has to prove that he can be a force. And Honestly, man, if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I may be considering putting him on the as a D tackle. I would be trying to consider that because in college he played D tackle and he was pretty effective. So maybe that's something they want to consider too. I mean, I'm just saying, but they got to find ways to get him on the field, or you got to find ways to get him the heck up out of here. One or the other. Juwan is proving himself. Yeah, Juwan Johnson gets better every year. Shouts out to him, who started off as a wide receiver, and he could have easily just been like, man, I'm a wide receiver, and that's why I want to roll. But for him to embrace the tight end position and has gotten better every single year he's been a part of it, and it's been a difference maker for the team. So, yeah, I believe in Juwan Johnson. Let's be honest, Jimmy Graham was a Drew Brees and Sean Payton production. It worked in this offense. Ben Watson looked good in this offense. Josh Hill, heck, even and Andy Juwan Johnson shine. Well, look, I know people like, man, heck, Andy and Juwan Johnson, but man, if you look at Andy Dalton throughout his career, that's including in Cincinnati. I mean, this dude made a career out of throwing to the tight end. I mean, Tyler Eifel was out there. He was out there balling. Like he had guys that he had in the middle of the field, and he was able to get the ball in their hands and be productive. So that's not a surprise to me. As far as like, Benjamin Watson, yeah, he did really good. Jimmy Graham. But that doesn't mean that these other guys that don't come in, that they won't be just as productive. So I don't want to say that the Saints don't really utilize tight ends like that. Like, you have like moments where they can shine. Like Benjamin Watson had like 1 year where he just kind of stood among the rest. Jimmy Graham, of course, had a year where he stood among the rest, but it's not like a consistent thing where you just like, man, this dude about to go out here and about to wreck shop every single year. Like it's been like a good little minute since the Saints had a dominant tight end to a point where it was just so noticeable that we just wanted him to get the ball consistently, right? It's more now like, man, we need a tight end every single year. Or it's the fact that we're not fully content with the tight ends we have. We like them, but we're not looking for them to like take over a game like a Kelsey or a Kittle or a Dallas Goedert can. Juwan has done nothing but ascend as a tight end. I agree with that. Yep. I think that he found his calling. If Fauci beats out Peyton Turner, that's a problem for Turner. It also tells how Peyton messed up the draft pick over the years. Yeah, I mean, but look, Peyton ain't the only person in that room. Peyton ain't the only person in that room, folks. So, it's a collaborative effort. It's Jeff Ireland. It's Mickey Loomis. It's the defensive coaches, and it's Sean Payton. Now, Sean Payton has the final say, but it's up to them to make an argument that's compelling if they don't feel like he's the guy. So, Peyton Turner, to me, this is your last chance. This is your last opportunity. And if you don't do it, then you're going to find yourself, maybe being on another team or something like that. Hey, TJ will open the offense up. The Saints will open the offense up. 3, maybe 4 wide receivers, tight end, and needed. I think Saints will open it up for Carr, who that family. I don't know if they're gonna open it up for him. I don't think the Saints offense is going to change that much. I really don't. I think that they're going to play the offense the same way that they did in years past. I think that they have a guy who can pull the trigger in Derek Carr, who they feel like they can trust. So I think they might revert back to maybe some of the offense of styles and schemes that we've seen and we fell in love with as Saints fans offensively. But I don't see them out there like, running a K gun or run and shoot or something like that. I feel like it's going to be an offense where they're going to try to run the football. They're going to play really good defense defensively, and you're going to have Derek Carr. You're trusting him to make the best decisions possible. But I don't see it like a significant change to the offense. Derek, Augustine says, hope you've been well, brother. Well, Derek, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you for being here, man. Shouts out to Derek Augustine, of course, from the hit CW show All American. Y'all make sure that y'all check that out. He's also been on shows like The Godfather of Harlem Plan, Muhammad Ali. If you are into like NBA 2K, he's actually, the mannerisms and stuff like that of simulated characters. he actually was that guy. You know, the voice that your character have is his voice. So shouts out to Derek Augustine, a native of New Orleans, a UNO privateer, and tearing it up in Hollywood, man. Shouts out to that brother, man. Good dude right there. JT says blessings. It says TK and Dana SS 504. Man, shouts out to you, JT. Thank you so much for being here. The chopping block. Thank you very much for the $2. Says I had to welcome Traquan back again this year. Yeah, I mean, look, Traquan definitely on the chopping block. He's seen like his snaps and his production dwindle over the course of time. So, I mean, all else failed, he'll end up being in Denver with his former head coach and his good friend Marquez Callaway. I'm not saying that Haener is Drew Brees, but, man, watching that dude navigate seems like deja vu. The size is similar. The weight is similar. The accuracy and completion percentage is similar. But he has to show it on the field. You know, he has to show it on the field. There's only one Drew Brees, right? And I know we constantly are looking for Drew Brees because of the magic and how special he was as a player, but there's only one of him. Jake Haener needs to be the best Jake Haener he can be instead of like looking at Drew Brees. And I'm not trying to put that pressure on that guy. You know, I'm not going to do it, right? If he comes in and he plays well, you know, we got ourselves a solid backup for a couple of years, which we feel like we needed. I don't feel like Jameis is going to be, you know, a backup next year. He's going to get opportunity to play somewhere else, which he should and he deserves. But, you know, if you have somebody like Haener that can come in if something was to happen to Derek Carr and he can provide you a spark with his accuracy, his ability, his anticipation, you got all that, and he checks all those boxes, is a plus. So, the 72% completion percentage is a plus. So all the way he has to go is up, right? O-line definitely needs some upgrades because the Red, no matter what quarterback we had on the field, they were getting sacked too often. I agree with that. You need some athleticism on the offensive line. But, you know, adding some more guys that are athletic, Trevor Penning going into his second year, being a little bit more comfortable. Cesar Ruiz, even though they didn't extend him for his fifth-year option, he showed some positive things. But, you know, Eric McCoy, we know what he can be. Ryan Ramczyk, we know what he can be. Andrews Pete, good run blocker, you know, just has to stay healthy. This is the biggest issue the offensive line had. They just don't play as a unit very often. There's always somebody injured, 2 or 3 guys injured on the line. And it's just an issue that the Saints have suffered with over the last couple of years. And it's kind of hard to play well as offensive line when you're playing plug and play and you got a new guy in and now this guy has to tell this other guy what to do and tell him who to block. It's kind of tough. Instead of, you know, everybody kind of being on the same page and understanding their assignment. They haven't had a quarterback that can throw the ball deep down the field in a while. This is also the first time that Carr will play with a good defense too, says my older brother, EJ. Shouts out to my big brother, EJ there. But yeah, I agree with you on that. You know, they need to be able to stretch the field a little bit. I think that's important. And, as far as Derek Carr, we know that he always has a high completion percentage, but, you know, the team that he played for, the Raiders, they didn't have a really good defense over the years. But at the same time, this also, you know, removes any excuse that he has if it doesn't pan out and he doesn't find success this season. You know, some of these things, you know, like, oh, he never had a defense. Oh, you know, like he never had a coach that understood him. Oh, he never had an offense. Oh, he never had consistent offensive play caller. All these things. But when you get opportunity to actually experience this, you got to be able to ball out. Just like when I say Dennis Allen has no excuses, he has no excuses. If the Saints do not find success this season, I think they have to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that this guy isn't it. I mean, so what excuse can you use in 2023? You can say last year this was Sean Payton's coaching staff and I just was plug and play, but what can you say once all of those things have been removed? and they have given you full responsibility over the team, and they have built this team in a way that you wanted it to go. So Derek Carr, 0 excuses. Dennis Allen, 0 excuses, period. Brian, thank you very much for the $5. Says, what undrafted free agent do you think will make the team? I really like a young linebacker like Nick Anderson. I think a lot of people like Nick Anderson out of Tulane. Great anticipation, good sideline to sidelines guys. To me, struggles a little bit in coverage, but I can see him like maybe improving with that. Let's look at some of the undrafted rookies that they have. Anthony Orji, he's a linebacker out of Vanderbilt. Might be a little bit tough for him to make the team, but smart guy, can't be no dummy going to Vanderbilt. And, he's a good, solid guy. Mark Evans out of Arkansas Pine Bluff. His mentor is Teron Armstead. And I think that, talking to the guy at the combine, he's a smart guy, funny guy, confident guy. I can see him making a team, maybe joining on a practice squad. I can see tight end Joe Wilson out of Central Michigan. I can see him making a team as well, especially since, you got Adam Troutman going out of here. And he's a guy who is a really good blocking tight end, which I feel like the Saints need. So he can be able to fill that Josh Hill type role. Another guy who I'm very high on is Shaq Davis out of South Carolina State. I watched this guy carve up Jackson State a couple of years ago in that Heritage Bowl game when South Carolina just completely destroyed them boys. I don't know if they just thought that South Carolina State were just going to, quiver in their boots that they showed up. But this dude, they dubbed him Baby Megatron. And you can't be called Baby Megatron if you can't play. But he's 6'4". He's about 195 pounds, just like A.T. Perry. So I can see that. Another guy that could probably make the team to me would probably be I think the punter. I'm trying to think of his name. Lou Headley. Lou Headley could probably make the team too. He's the guy who has all the tattoos and everything like that. Look, I know we like Blake Gillikin, but that first year where he was in the league and he impressed us. Last year he wasn't that good, man. So this Australian punter out of the University of Miami can probably take his spot. I don't think it's just a done deal. And I definitely don't feel like it's a done deal when it comes to Will Lutz either. I don't. Like, Will Lutz left a lot to be desired, and Will Lutz, who we like, and he's made some big kicks as a Saint, but to me, he kind of fell off. So if the Saints have a kicker, which I think they do, I want to say it's the kick out of Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken. But if he can come in, I think there's a strong chance where the Saints actually keep him. I think his name is Blake Gruppy or something like that, or Gropey or something like that. I can't think his name. I think it's Gruppy, Blake Gruppy out of Notre Dame. So there's a chance that you might see a little bit of a shakeup on special teams. I'm going to take a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Says, we definitely need an upgrade to the O-line because no matter what quarterback we had on the field, they were getting sacked way too much, especially in critical situations. Yeah, that would be, they definitely need help on that offensive line. They definitely need to improve that. Any chance one of these wide receivers can convert to tight end like Johnson did? I mean, I don't think so. Not A.T. Perry or Shaq Davis. I don't see that. I see those guys going out there balling out, being some really good wide receivers. I can't see them reverting to tight end. See, the thing about Juwan Johnson was already big for a wide receiver. He was like 6'4", 6'5", about 228, 230 pounds. So all you have to do is just add a little bit more, like 10, 12 pounds on him, and you got yourself a tight end. These other guys, they tall, but they skinny. You know what I'm saying? You'll think they basketball players if you've seen them walking around somewhere. I want to see what DeMarco Jackson and Smoke Monday can do. I hope they stay healthy. Well, I think the Saints are really definitely counting on DeMarco Jackson to take a step forward. I think the Saints like his mental makeup, the fact that he was a leader at Appalachian State. I think that was a plus. I think that he did some really good things in training camp before he got injured. Smoke Monday, I haven't seen nothing. Like, to be honest with you, I just know that his name is Smoke, and it's it's just a catchy name. Like I got to see more. And as the Saints add on to this room, this safety room, it's going to be harder and harder for a guy like Smoke Monday to make the team. So I hope that he's taking a step forward. I hope that he's worked out. I hope that, he does the things that need to be done in order for him to make the team. But it's going to be tough because the Saints, they got some safeties out there, and it's going to be extremely tough for a guy like Smoke Monday to be playing consistently on Sunday. If Carr and everything didn't work out, it's a wrap and they are gone. I don't think Derek Carr is gone, but there's a strong chance that Dennis Allen may be on his way out. No excuses for Dennis Allen, too. No, at all. There are no excuses for Dennis Allen. Going to be chanting DA go away if we have more L's than wins in September. Yeah, I mean, look, this is an opportunity to set the tone. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, I like that kid Shaq from South Carolina State, too. What about Malik Flowers? Yeah, I mean, Malik Flowers, he was definitely on the list, of guys that the Saints actually picked up. I don't know, man. I just think that it's gonna be kind of tough for a lot of these guys just to make this squad. Just looking at this list and looking at guys that can, contribute, play right away, give you a little bit of something, or be able to be on special teams. Jerron Cage, I can see him possibly making a team, to be honest with you, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Saints need a little bit of depth there, so if he can come in and give it that old try, he'll be straight, but I don't see that. I don't see some of these guys actually making a team. Like no disrespect, but Anthony Johnson out of Virginia, like you really got to be playing lights out as a DB. Shy Barnett out of Davenport. I never even heard of Davenport. Sharadrick Thompson out of Texas Tech. I mean, it's going to be tough for these guys to make the team. It's best for them to come into camp, put your best stuff on tape, and maybe find a landing spot somewhere else. You say Carr is better than Burrow. Baked Chicken Jones. Chicken ain't the only thing that's baking, if you believe that, okay? You have baked if you believe that Derek Carr is better than Joe Burrow. I can tell you that right now. But let's see, TJ, I would have rather draft Stetson Bennett back-to-back national championship, better resume than Hader. I think DA catered to Carr, didn't want a threat behind him. Let's see, Bennett, better position to win. Well, look, I guess it's different stroke for different folks. I definitely agree with you on the fact that you were trying to accommodate Carr. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, we just seen Randall Cobb go to the Jets. Randall Cobb is, God bless the brother, really good player in his prime, but he washed. But of course, they signed him because they wanted to accommodate Aaron Rodgers. Of course, you have signings and stuff like that, for guys, right? That's just the way that it goes. I mean, it's quid pro quo around this thing. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? You look out for me, I look out for you. That's just the way it goes, man. It's not the best thing in the world. It's not the funnest thing in the world to see. So, and sometimes, it kind of rubs you the wrong way to see that type of nepotism in the world or see that type of favoritism in the world. But that's just the way that it goes sometimes. And yes, I believe they drafted Jake Haener because he went to Fresno State and he has a relationship with Derek Carr. I do. But if Jake Haener comes out and he becomes a really decent quarterback and then that's a plus for the Saints. Hey, TJ, I'm glad you're feeling better. How do you feel about the Baltimore Ravens finally signing Lamar Jackson and getting him some weapons at wide receiver? I think it's about time that they did that. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a godsend for him. No disrespect to Hollywood Brown, but I think that Zay Flowers provides a little bit more of a different skill set versus Hollywood Brown, who I just feel like is more of a take the top off the defense type guy. Zay Flowers is a really good route runner. He can make you miss. He can do so many different things. Of course, we know what Odell Beckham Jr. can do. You got Mark Andrews out there. You got J.K. Dobbins out there in the backfield. So they definitely got better offensively. And, of course, you want to make your quarterback happy. And I think they got Lamar Jackson happy. They used the template of the Jalen Hurts signing, and they added a little bit more money to Lamar, and they accommodated that. So shouts out to the Baltimore Ravens getting it done. And hopefully Lamar Jackson can develop chemistry with those elite playmakers that he got on his team now. I can't wait till the preseason start to see what we got with these guys. Yeah, I can't wait either. You know, I can't wait to see what these dudes can actually do myself. I just hope I can get 2 slots at training camp. Carolina will have something to say about the NFC South title. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. You know, they definitely got better. You know, they addressed the quarterback position. They got a really good coach. And they also got some really good players at wide receiver. You know, they got better, you know, as an offense. And you got to be real. Like, we can't just scoff off at them and think that the Saints are just going to dominate the division. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be nip and tuck. I think it's going to be similar to how it was last year. But the only difference is I think that these teams are going to have a better winning record. So this is definitely a wide open division. By the way, TJ, off subject, but I think Roman is going to end up joining the Judgment Day after he turns against the Usos. Don't see that happening. I see more like the Usos, you know, probably going to end up turning on Roman. But, hey, who knows? I don't see Judgment Day in their future. Bennett getting cut. I don't think he's going to get cut. Well, I take that back. If he continues to do some of the things he does off the field, he going to get cut. And that's another thing, too. Like, while we up here talking about his winning record and all that kind of stuff, the dude basically kind of been a loose cannon. I mean, drunk driving, you know, public intoxication, you know, all different type of things going on with that. So, you know, Steady better be ready for the NFL, because the first time he goes and does some of the things that he did when he was in college. See, you can do that stuff in college in them little small towns of Athens, Georgia, right? Police see you drunk on the side of the road. Oh, that's Stetson Bennett right there, man. We got the big game versus Florida. I don't want him to get in trouble. Let him sleep it off, right? But in L.A., they don't care if you Stetson Bennett, Edgar Bennett, Tony Bennett, all right? You got to go out there and do right, or you're going to be arrested, all right? You know, like celebrities get arrested every day, B, out there in Tinseltown. So he better get himself right? Or it's not, I don't think Tony Bennett made this song, but that's Tom Jones. I was about to say it's not unusual to see a celebrity get arrested, but whatever Tony Bennett song y'all can think of, just plug and play. And if it coincides with Stetson Bennett doing right or getting caught, fill it in. I don't know too many Tony Bennett songs. Let's see. Glad to see you're feeling better, TJ. Keeping it real. Thank you, man. I mean, a little bit better, man. I still got a little ways to go, but it's good to actually being able to move my extremities around a little bit better. Do you think this year's draft was better than last year? Your thoughts? Chris, I can't say that, right? Only time will tell. We got to actually see this thing kind of pan out. Then we can have this conversation. You know, I mean, guys can get selected and we can have our thoughts and our views about how things are going to go, but we don't know until it actually happens. Fact, big dog, I'm with you 1,000% on the other podcast about us getting quick on the D line for mobile quarterbacks. Been on the past 2 seasons, our line is just big, not fast, twitch, high motor guys. Yeah, I mean, you got to get athletic. You can't just be tall and big and that's it, right? You got to be able to run, be able to track down these quarterbacks, track down these running backs, and also be a disruptor when it comes to like getting pressure on these quarterbacks. Let's see. Who that Dolph? What do family? Who that? What do you think about the Saints drafting? Who that family? What I think about it? I think it was pretty decent. You know, I think it was pretty decent. You know, but like I said, only time will tell. I got COVID too now, TJ. I ain't got who got COVID. I mean, just you or somebody else. I ain't. But man, whatever you're going through, man, you know, I hope that everything pan out. You know, hope you feel better, man. I know that can be tough. I've had that before. You know, and it's tough. But man, I hope you feel better. Tony Bennett, Fly Me to the Moon. Okay, there we go. Fly Me to the Moon. I heard of that song before, but I mean, I think everybody knows who Tony Bennett is. I mean, if you ever been to Vegas, definitely know who Tony Bennett is. State of the Saints podcast. Glad you're feeling better. TJ praying for you. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I believe that the Saints did good in the draft. I think a lot of people believe that. Let's see. TJ, given the different running styles between our running backs, what are your thoughts on us leveraging more split back formations now that we got a legit running back one and running back two? Well, I think that the Saints just need to run the football more. Look, I don't I don't care how they do it. Like, there's no excuse for you not to be able to run the football, right? You got too much talent in that backfield not to run the football. You can impose your will on a team because you got three guys that are capable of inflicting punishment on the defensive line. So if you're not running the football, something is terribly wrong. So I think the Saints are trying to send a message that they want to run the football. You don't have this type of talent in the backfield and just keep the horses in the barn, right? You let them run. So I don't care how they do it. Two backs in the backfield, one back in the backfield. Look, I don't care if he can direct snaps. Just find ways to get these guys the ball so they can make some things happen. Because around third and fourth quarter, them big guys don't want to tackle those guys no more. Let's see. Our second round pick going to be better than Nolan Smith. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case. You can count Taysom as fourth running back. Exactly. Like, yeah, there's no excuse for the Saints not to be running the football. There's definitely no excuse for the Saints not to be running the football. If they ain't running the football, then something wrong with Pete Carmichael, and they need to find somebody else, because you can't have this type of running back room and not run the football. There's something wrong there. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. Also, previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also a part of Belly Up Media Network. Make sure that y'all follow Belly Up Media on Twitter at Belly Up Media. Also check out the Gumbo Pot Sports podcast. We'll be back on tomorrow. We'll be talking about the draft. We'll be talking about some of the other hottest topics in sports. And make sure that you subscribe to that channel, which is youtube.com, search Gumbo Pot Sports Podcast. All right. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8, and you can follow the Gumbo Pot at Gumbo Pot Sports Talk. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.